Okay, I'm live. All right. Well, welcome. We'll see if anybody rolls in. It's Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, I am live with you for More Impact with me, Dia Bondi. I'm a long time. Well, I check my phone and see if anybody how to even I don't even know how to run all this all by myself. And there's so much all by ourselves right now, isn't there? In the face of COVID to embrace. So I'm feeling that today in a real way. Here in my private office, sheltering in place in my business. And so that's present for me. So apologies if I'm not able to get to your comments if you jump onto this live or if you watch it in the replay, I'll be able to catch it then. So I'm Dia Bondi. I am a longtime leadership communications coach dedicated to helping leaders, entrepreneurs, and folks in their careers have more impact at the most critical communications moments in their platform. Mostly live communications moments, whether they're focusing internally, speaking at an all hands, or as part of an outward facing campaign. When the spotlight's on you, I want to help you have more impact. And I do it in lots of different ways. Teaching workshops, I do it in coaching. I do it with my latest wild project called Ask Like an Auctioneer, where I help aiming to help 1 million women ask for more and get it at those critical leverage points in their careers and businesses and entrepreneurial journeys, so they never leave any money or opportunity on the table. And I've been coming live on Wednesdays starting week before last to talk about my 21 things. I don't even know if you can see that. It's the 21 things that I've captured and noticed and written down over my 20 years of coaching and teaching this work. The 21 things you can do to have more impact when it really matters most. And if you want to grab my 21 things, I will put here a way for you to get it. So you can go to my site, and if you jump on the mailing list in an hour or less, you'll have access to the 21 things. Obviously, you can unsubscribe, but that's the fastest, easiest way for you to get access to my 21 things. So I did an introduction 2 weeks ago and talked about thing 1 last week, which is called Go First. And today I want to talk about thing 2, which is what I call parachuting in. And what I mean by parachuting in is really about how you start. You've got 7 minutes in front of your critical audience. You've got 5 minutes, maybe you have 20 minutes, maybe you have 50 minutes. But how do you start? And, what I see our habit, I see that our habit is to start with our name and who we are, almost like I just did here in this live broadcast. But there is a more impactful way to do it. And that is to, instead of sort of sliding into the topic that you're going to be talking about that day, to really parachute right in on top of it with your first words being well designed and well chosen, not just for the content of their words, but because they set the tone. They tell the room, virtually otherwise, what it's going to be like to be with you. Is today going to be about challenging something? Is today going to be about storytelling? Are you here? Are you going to go slow and careful? And so people should lean in and listen. What is this about today? And about with a little a, meaning the content, what the content is going to be about. And then about with a big A, meaning what is the bigger agenda of this particular communications moment that you're dealing with. So yes, you can start with personal stories. Yes, you can think of these as like introduction moments, or you could think of them as like your opening statement. But I'm talking about all the way down to the very first word, whether it's the first word of your virtual presentation or you're walking on stage. There will be a day in our future where folks will be walking on stage or in front of your audience, and the very first thing that comes out of your mouth is the thing that sets the tone and the platform for the rest of the conversation. Yes, you can use personal stories, but as a leader in your organization, are you choosing the first sentence to be a recognition of something that is going well or something that is easy to overlook that you want to name as a tone or a platform for the rest of what you're going to talk about? Or, hello, I turn off my notifications. Or is it going to be about one single sentence that maybe creates some anticipation for what you're going to talk about next? Are you helping people in that moment relax with you? Or are you wanting people to actually sit up a little taller and listen a little differently, maybe even create a little tension in the story you're about to tell. So those very first moments are really important. Now, when I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who are starting to get onto stages, bigger stages for the first time in their careers, what I often hear their first entire section of their presentation, the entire section about their business be about is establishing credibility. Yes, credibility is very important, but the way you maybe have been earning credibility in the stories you've been telling, marching through your resume, talking about why you have the right or the privilege to be in front of this room, is there are moments where it's not necessary. The context itself creates credibility. If you've been invited into a conversation by an existing trusted voice for that audience, you have instant credibility. If you've been invited onto a big stage with 1,000 people in the room, you are already standing on a platform of credibility. It doesn't mean that you're not going to build on it, but don't underestimate how powerful the context in which you're stepping out to tell your story or to have to communicate about something. Don't underestimate how powerful the context really is. And notice what credibility does it give you so that you don't have to spend those 3-5 minutes justifying why you're there. Because there will be a point at which, and this again is something I've seen a lot in entrepreneurship, there will be a point where you don't have to do that. In fact, that's not what people want to hear from you. They don't just want to hear what you're doing, who you are, and how you've done it. But they're gonna automatically imagine, they probably will have looked you up a little bit before they're in your audience. They're gonna imagine that you're there for a reason, and they're gonna want to know quickly like what your deal is. But they're gonna want to very quickly also understand in your industry and in the industry that you're speaking to, what do you see the future look like? When you look out at the horizon, what do you see that we can't see? And so we want to use those first 3 words to parachute right in to that kind of conversation with your audience. And that will help you have more impact when it really matters most. Sometimes it's going to feel a little bit unstable and maybe even a little bit bold. And that's okay. You'll see on my 21 things, thing 21, which we'll get to, is something that audiences want from us all the time, but we won't get to that for 21 weeks unless you go download it here. So I just want to invite you to consider, when you have an audience in front of you, whether they are your talent inside your organization, or they are your peers, or folks that you will influence with your ideas in a more open forum, to ask yourself, how do I want to parachute into this moment instead of drag us through formalities before we get any momentum? All right, that's my big idea for the day for you. If you want to find me, you can go directly to the link I put down, or not the link, but the banner I put down below. You can go to diabondi.com and check out all my communications work. The only asset you're going to grab there is the 21 things, because it's sort of the foundation of a lot of the work, both in coaching and teaching, that I do. And you can also find my latest project, Ask Like an Auctioneer, if you're curious, if you're like, what is that? And I'll see you next Wednesday, around midday. Maybe I'll catch you on the replay. If you have anything to say or any comments, I'd love to see them down in the thread. And I hope you have the great rest of your week.